One of the first big announcements by the Modi government was the Make in India campaign. Prime Minister Modi made the announcement from the ramparts of the Red Fort in August 2014, 3 months after his government came to power at the centre. The move caught the imagination of domestic and international investors, and under the Make in India umbrella, several reforms were taken forward, including opening up foreign direct investment as well as giving a push to the ease of doing business. But the initial euphoria has waned, as is evident from the plateauing of foreign direct flows. We now learn that the government is overhauling the original Make in India initiative by targeting fewer sectors under the program. Rituparna Bhuyan sums up the past few years and tells us what to expect going forward.
Make in India is one of the most high-profile announcements made by the Modi government. It was launched on September 25, 2014. 25 sectors were identified after industry consultations. But what is Make in India? Is it a PR campaign or is it a policy? Well, the government mostly left the answer ambiguous. This year, the Commerce Ministry told Lok Sabha that Make in India is not a program, but an initiative to make India a global manufacturing hub. In addition, the Commerce Ministry also maintained that it does not have data on how much industrial activity has been happening under Make in India. Key interventions through the Make in India program include liberalizing FDI policy on several sectors, including defense, railways, medical devices, as well as a push for ease of doing business and a stronger IPR policy. Well, what kind of impact did the Make in India program have? Well, we analyzed FDI data and found that in the initial years, we saw FDI the FDI inflows reaching record levels. But when we saw the years progressing, we saw that in FY16, for example, while the FDI growth was 29%, in FY18, this could actually see less than 1% growth. And it's clear that the FDI growth rate will be plateauing as far as FY18 is concerned. We also analyzed top 10 FDI receiving sectors and found that bulk of the FDI, that is around 46.67% of the total inflows in these top 10 sectors, actually came into non-manufacturing sectors. We also looked at the kind of FDI that went into the manufacturing sectors from that list of top 10 FDI receiving sectors and found that just 14.6% of the total FDI came into the manufacturing sectors. Meanwhile, the government seems to have started recalibrating its Make in India policy from mid-2017. For example, we saw a new public procurement policy that gave preference to local companies which made their products in India. In fact, the government has mandated stringent local content mandatory for goods procured by government and PSUs. Not only that, we have seen that the Make in India sector list was quietly pruned from 25 to 21. This was done quietly. We have actually sought details from DIPB through an RTI on this, but till now we do not have much details on that. Also, as far as the economic survey is concerned, we understand that the economic survey is talking about Make in India 2.0, wherein 10 champion sectors will be focused upon. These sectors include auto, defense, pharma, renewable energy, chemicals, and also other sectors like renewable energy, textiles, leather, and other manufacturing sectors. We'll have to wait and see how quickly will the Modi government actually announce Make in India 2.0. All
right, Ritu, appreciate you joining us. To take that discussion forward, we're now joined by Nilay Verma, Partner and Head of Government Advisory at KPMG. Nilay, I appreciate you joining us. While we have seen record FDI inflows at $60 billion, the fact of the matter is that the share going towards the manufacturing sector has not seen a significant up move. It is the non-manufacturing space that continues to get a lion's share of FDI. We understand the government is now reworking Make in India. What do you believe is the imperative, and how would you assess the performance so far? Nilay, can you hear me? We seem to have lost that. Line with Nilay. We'll try and reconnect with him. But as Rituparna was pointing out, while we have seen FDI inflows go up, we are now seeing the growth rate and the pace of growth slow down. So that is going to be a challenge, especially as we see macro challenges pick up, as well as the move towards more protectionist tendencies around the world. But secondly, the share of FDI to the manufacturing space has not really gone up quite significantly. In fact, that's the story on your screens. That's the non-manufacturing sector, but the manufacturing sector hasn't. Let's go back across to Nila. Nila, if you can hear me, one, your assessment of Make in India and the fact that most of the foreign direct investment, albeit at a record high, continues to go towards the non-manufacturing space. What does this now mean in terms of the program, as we are given to understand that the government is looking at Make in India 2.0?
Shereen, the way I look at Make in India, I think it's a positioning statement of India, wherein essentially saying India is ready for foreign direct investments. I think we've seen benefits coming out of it. It's also true, as you said, the data in terms of manufacturing versus non-manufacturing. In manufacturing, a lot of them are greenfield projects, and it takes time for people to invest. But we are seeing a lot of investment coming in that space also. But I think what Make in India 2.0 is doing is looking at specific sectors and looking at what policy changes do we need to bring in so that large FDI can come in manufacturing sector. And I think we're starting to see early signs of that. I mean, for example, we had Kia Motors investing in Andhra Pradesh, which is a very, very large, almost $1 billion investment into greenfield manufacturing. So I think we are moving in the right direction, but we do need reforms specific sector by sector. Let's take, for example, medical devices. We do import a large number of medical device equipment, and what do we need to do to be able to make sure that those companies are investing in manufacturing in India? We need to get into depth of individual sectors, and which is what the government is doing now.
Okay. This business of focusing on 10 champion sectors, which was the idea that the economic survey had put forward, do you believe that it makes sense to do that? Because we've lost our competitive advantage in erstwhile sectors that we had an edge. For instance, textiles, we've consistently been losing share. Food processing, we have a big aspiration, but how are we able to realize that? Gems and jewelry. I mean, give me the 3 or 4 specific sectors that you believe need to be point of focus, and the specific changes that you would like to see.
Look, I think, Shereen, you've picked up a couple of sectors. Let's take, for example, food processing. I think many of these sectors, the champion sectors, actually provide a huge opportunity for India to create employment. I think, last year the government had World Food India, wherein a large number of international companies, and I was personally involved in that, saw India as a huge market for manufacture. What it comes down to is specific instruments of policy working with the state government. Shane, we do need to recognize the investment that happens in India does not happen in Delhi. It happens in one of the states or union territories. And therefore, more liberalization, more states changing rules and regulation. How do we further improve ease of doing business? How can we further reduce the time it takes to get statutory clearances? I think that's going to make an impact. But I do believe focusing on few sectors is extremely important because what India also needs is not just investment, but investments which can create jobs.
Yeah. Nila, I'll end by asking you, how confident do you feel about being able to continue to maintain the pace of growth that we've seen in foreign direct investment? We have seen the pace of growth come down. Do you believe that 2018 will continue to see robust FDI flows?
I do believe, Shereen, I mean, I always say India is a large ship and it takes time to turn, but I think we're turning around. When I look at, FDI is based upon a number of factors, right? If you just look at the reforms that the government has brought in, be it infrastructure, social sectors, etc., Ayushman Bharat, etc., many of these projects fundamentally going to change the economy in time to come. And I think FDI will follow the transformation that we're bringing in across sectors.
All right, Nila, we'll have to leave it there. Appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Nila Verma, Head Government Advisory at KPMG on the Make in India report card. With that, it's time for us to wrap up the first of our special series on 4 years of the Modi government. We'll see you again in just a bit. From all of us here for now, goodbye. Thanks for watching.